Good morning again, everyone. Here we are for limiting beliefs. It's going to be a bit of a shorter session because actually I just want you guys to really work on your exercises today, because these ones are gritty and there's a fair amount to do, fair amount to dig into. But anyway, let's start with a little bit of a meditation to land in the room. So closing eyes, deep breaths, breathe in, and a little bit of a sigh on the way out. Feeling yourself in your chair on the ground, feeling where your body is touching the back of the chair, or feet touching the ground, hair touching your face. Feel that you're sending out a line of energy from your center right down through your body and down into the earth, to the core of the planet, hooking in to really ground yourself in the earth. Coming back up and sending a ray of energy up through the top of your head into space, to the stars. Opening yourself up to all the inspiration and clarity you need for this work. Coming back in and putting a hand to your heart. Feeling yourself present in this moment. And feeling out to all the other people on this planet and seeing yourself as a huge interconnected web. All the hearts together on this planet, creating a strong web of hope that you can relax into. And opening your eyes. So, limiting beliefs. This is a goodie. What's particularly interesting that I find about limiting beliefs is that they're just so insidious. I've spent probably 10 years on myself and with other people working on these. And this session is really just a scratching of the surface and an indicator as to where to find them. So the good news is that the large majority of our limiting beliefs, in fact, almost all of them, are not our own. And so the importance of this work is really a project of integrity, a project of really filtering through what we've been taught, what we've been picked up, what society tells us is right or wrong, and weeding out all those to find what we truly believe in and who we truly are. One of the main causes of depression, according to some, is, especially when it's not a biochemical cause, is behaving in a way that is not in line with our values. And the project of integrity is to come and marry those as far as we possibly can. And that is an incredibly difficult project because we are so conditioned. And when I mean conditioned, I mean quite literally have got neural pathways that have been set up in time, over time, as we've grown. And so it's not just a case of figuring out what you want your new pathways to be, which are more in line with who you are, but actually retraining your brain to make those the trodden pathways. So the first exercise I would like you to do is, it's actually going to be the only exercise, but we're just going to dig deeper into finding more and more. But the first exercise will just be to list all the limiting beliefs that you're aware of, that you really easily come into your mind. Obviously, for many of us, there will be the not good enough one, but that will also split into many smaller or more specific examples. Limiting beliefs, definitely, I personally have got the not good enough one, but it could also turn into, for example, I don't deserve to. I'm not able to. I can't because. You'll find that there's both reasons that are down to your own inability, disability, or because other people or other reasons external to ourselves. There's many different ways of figuring out these things. And actually, what's particularly interesting is when you start writing them all down and you start listing them, you also want to look into, might putting them into areas where you might think, okay, well, there might be a lot around gender. There might be around sexuality. There's usually some around accepted behavior in groups, accepted behavior in relationships. A good place to look is, accepted behavior with children. It's mostly to do in relationship with other people. So it's all about, all these beliefs have come from having some, basic ground rules as how to live together well as a society. But from there, it's being completely extrapolated to useful rules and regulations, to also not so useful rules and regulations, and just fashion. So put down things like, I am not fashionable enough, I'm not fashionable, I am not beautiful, I am not, all these things, which really, when you dig down into them, who says, but we'll go into dissolving them a little bit later. At this point, I just want to write them all down. I think especially in these times, it's an interesting one also to do, because a lot of the anxiety that's coming up right now is around fears of not being able and not being capable, or not being in a position to. And this is going to be a time when we really need to step up and out of any of these fears that are created by our limiting beliefs, and to start thinking much more creatively. It'll be a choice. And I think I would really like to inspire all of you to take the choice to be able to step out of these fears, to move forward. And again, creating the space, as we said last time, to come up with innovative ideas of how we're going to prove ourselves wrong in this case. So one of the good places to look is, so we've got many ones that we know because we've been told the whole time. That's actually a really good space to start. Anything you've been told the whole time, because, well, you're such a loser. Anything that other people are telling you in your family relationships and your home relationships, your work relationships, write those down. Even if you don't believe them, write them down, because quite often, if you have a reaction to say to them, strong reaction to them, no, I'm not, and you get into arguments with people about it, it's definitely one to put down. Anything that people say to you, anything that you react to defensively, is also a limiting belief, because somewhere down if you're reacting defensively to something someone says about you that's negative, it's probably something you'll believe somewhere. So like I said, some of these are really easy to find. You've heard them all before. So blind spots. So we've got so many blind spots. A really good one to look for is what you are disliking in other people. So these are called mirrors. So if you made a little list saying, okay, these are my obvious limiting beliefs. Now make a little new list saying mirrors. Where are you complaining about other people's behavior? Which of other people's behaviors are you complaining about? What are the things that you are constantly throwing at other people? What are you saying repeatedly to your husband? What are you saying repeatedly about your mother, your father, your children, strangers, friends? Where are you getting hung up on other people's behavior? Now, this one is a really sneaky one, because when I was first told this, and I just said, well, there's no way. The theory is that basically you are, again, reacting to certain behaviors because actually they are hitting something inside of you. Now, it could be that you have the similar behavior just in a different context. So this is one to look into. And it could be that you are rebelling against that behavior somewhere inside you, but you're still reacting. So if someone, as an example, there's so many examples. So let's say you're complaining about a friend, saying that she's not taking enough responsibility for something, then look inside of you and see where you are not taking responsibility for something. And quite often, you're not taking responsibility for something because of a limited belief. Because you think you can't take responsibility, you don't have the power to take responsibility, it's someone else's responsibility. So see where you're giving your power away, or you're saying it's for someone else to do, or you're not able to do it. Have a little look at those, because those are pretty clever ones too. So that is a good one. And then also the last one I'm going to mention is projections. Now this one is a really clever one. This one is, well, there's twofold here. There's projections and keeping you safe. This one is going to be particularly relevant also for now, because projections are projections for protection, I call them, because it's the mind's way of limiting what you want to do, what you want to believe is possible, to keep yourself safe. Okay, and these are all, again, based on limiting beliefs. So the mind does this by analyzing situations and looking at all things considered. It's not good to. Now, it's difficult here because obviously the mind is there to keep you safe to a certain extent. But there's also a saboteur aspect to all of us that likes to keep us safe in a more downtrodden way. And obviously it's for us, again, it's for us to decide whether these things are true. But again, this is where our neural pathways come in. If you have always been told from childhood up that you are a certain way, in my case, I'm really good at losing things. So I'm still good at losing things. But so from a tiny age on, I'm just like, oh, I'm just such a loser, I'm such a loser, I'm such a loser. Well, that is a limiting belief that I really now need to retrain my brain to. And I'm already projecting about myself that I am going to lose something going forward, or I am going to, because this is my neural pathway. And equally, my instant response is to lose, it's to lose something, because that's just what I've always done. So there's quite a lot of hard work around retraining here. But so the saboteur is going to be the one that says, well, it's a great idea, but what if you spend all your money trying to set it up? And what if there's just that what ifs start coming in? And actually, do you really think that it's wise for me? Is it really wise to buy a beautiful piece of jewelry to celebrate your achievements when you're probably just going to lose it anyway? And there is obviously a certain amount of common sense in that, but you're never going to break those patterns if you're going to keep listening to that. And this is also where then the meditation of space comes in, to actually really feel into your intuition and sort of just realign how you see things. So right now, I think the keeping safe, again, as we talked last time about the chakras, the keeping safe is going to be this automatic reaction. Where are you trying to keep yourself safe, and where are you trying to keep yourself, where are you analyzing your way out of things, basically? You both in those you'll find some very strong limiting beliefs as to your possibilities. Just listen to the two voices in there, and you'll find lots of reasons, aka excuses, why things can't be. And if you write all those down as well, you'll find that those are all limiting beliefs. And now the reason we call them limiting beliefs, so just to recapture, so we're making a huge list of as many limiting beliefs as you can. Ones that jump up easily, ones that are mirrored to you by outside your relationship with other people, and actually even objects as well, money. And then also where your mind is analyzing a way out of things, or being reasonable or keeping you safe. Now, like we said, some of those last two may actually end up being true, but let's put them down and really see whether we can't figure out which bits of that are true and which bits aren't. So the next part of the exercise, when you've done this, is going to be to pretty much label every single one of those, and associate those with someone or a greater system. So this is where the real work comes in. Some of them will be really clear. It might be I can't sing. Well, that might be because you were told you can't sing by your parents, your music teacher, someone in your life who said that. So if there are any clear ones, you can, just write down who you can associate that particular limiting belief with. It gets harder because there are then, that you can then label some society, because it could be that your auntie said you mustn't eat with your elbows on your table, or your mother, or something like that. But, even though those come under manners, it's still a limiting belief because it's not allowing you to eat exactly how you want to eat. So also label the ones that are society, politeness, fashion, magazines, advertising. Really pin them down. If you can't pin them to particular people, pin down, where did you get the idea that you can't? And some of them you might actually really believe, and that is brilliant, because then we find out, if you kind of go, well, this is, my mother always said this, but you might then go, yeah, but this is going to be the last bit of it. Which ones do you really fundamentally agree with? So once you've labeled all of them as far as you can, which ones do you fundamentally agree with? So putting your elbows on a table, not having your elbows on the table for dinner, that's one I grew up with. It is a limiting belief because it means I need to be a certain way when I eat. Now, it seems kind of stupid to me now. I agree that it does not look great if everyone sits at the table like this. Totally agreed. But equally, I'm not going to have a complete freak out if someone leans on that elbow for a little while they're having a chat. So from little silly societal things like that to really more major situations about how you feel about your looks, how you feel about your income, how you feel about your career, how you feel about your relationship status, all those things need to be looked at very carefully at this point. Because in the end, what we're really trying to get to is to get to a state of just being happy with who you are right now. It is a lot of work, and this is big work, and this is not probably work that we're going to, this is just scratching the surface. This is really work that, is worth doing with a coach or in workshops or just on your own. There's plenty of books out there. I can give you some references as well. This is, a digging deep situation, and it takes time. But, the big thing that both meditation and these awareness practices will help with is helping you catch yourself when they come up in the time they come up. And to begin with, you'll miss half of them, but half of them you'll go, oh, wow, I'm doing this again. And it doesn't necessarily mean you change your behavior overnight, but it just means you're bringing in more awareness into your behavior. And as you get more space and as you get more training, you're able to, the first step would be, if there's a limiting belief that makes you behave negatively with other people, the first step is, oh, I did that again. I now have the opportunity to apologize right here and right now. I didn't mean to say that way. I'm sorry. This is really what I wanted to say. And then you get better at that. And then you get to the point where you have enough space to decide to notice that you're getting into a reactive place and be able to decide what you're going to do from that space. So you may keep it together enough, which is very good, to keep calm in that situation and say something in a gentle way, or even just to not respond exactly at that moment and take it away and then come back in a time when you can speak calmly. So this is the ideal we're all aiming for. This takes time and practice. And this is literally the retraining of your brain from moving away from a trained behavior that has been with you for a really long time to slowly eking out other pathways that your brain can go to. Now, when you talk about neural pathways, if you have had a behavior that you've done again and again and again, and negative behavior patterns are always based on limiting beliefs. This is almost like a canyon where waters run. Every time you've gone down that pathway, every time you've had that thought, you've made that canyon a little deeper. And so this is also where negative self-talk comes in largely. Every time you've had negative thought, active thought about yourself, you've made another little dent in that pathway. So if you've been prone to negative talk to yourself, but also to other people, those routes in your brain will just be the ones that are the biggest. And so if you just imagine water flowing, and that's the energy of your thoughts, they are naturally going to go into the ones that have got more space and the bigger, deeper ones. So our training through all of this thing is to slowly start sending the water down, the water of our thoughts down different avenues until those become the deeper ones. And yes, you're going, oh my gosh, I've been thinking the same thoughts for so long. But if not now, then when? So I hope this has been useful. It's just a scratching of the surface, as I've said a few times, but really becoming aware of these limiting beliefs and the behaviors that they create is a huge, huge step towards shifting to a place of more space. And I'm hoping that towards the end of the week, you'll also see how we move away from just these little exercises to taking these behavioral changes just from within our own mind, as in our own negative chat to positive chat, but also to our relationships and also then out to the wider world. So I'm just wondering if any of you have any questions at this point. I will be putting, you can type them down below. I will be putting on the reference, the resources. I'm still having a little problem creating my network properly, but if you send me your email, if you're happy to let me know that I can send an invitation to the network to you by email, I'll do so. And the network is really there to be a community of people who can talk about all these things together. I will be putting all of my resources on there, these videos, as well as a course when we've done this week, and just a way of supporting each other with all of our questions and all of our worries during this very intense time. So do let me know if you have any questions. You can also just email me afterwards, but I will answer you by email if not now. So thank you very much for your time. I hope the exercises are useful, and if you do have any questions about those as well, or about any topics that you would like covered, please let me know, and I'll try to bring those into what we're doing this week. So thank you very much for your time. Take care.